Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Switch of Play. Mickey, good to be back, and how are you?
Yeah, really good. Thanks. Actually, looking forward to tonight. I'm actually hoping to speak this week instead of just letting Flash talk for an hour and a half. But what great value he was, wasn't he? He was absolutely brilliant, and I think the fans really enjoyed listening from the comments that I've seen. And I think the main thing I got from last week was how much he loved the club and still loves the club.
Yeah, yeah, he was very passionate about it, wasn't he? And he's been involved on our Twitter feed. He obviously does, have great memories of his time at Hartlepool.
Yeah, I just wish he was my agent because I think he probably could have get us a move somewhere.
And since the last episode as well, some exciting news, Mickey. We are going live. It's official. How do you feel about it?
Excited, one word. I think nervous as well. A little bit unsure of what we're going to do, but no, I think it'll be good. It'll be good. Obviously, it's for great causes. It'll be nice to have that interaction with hopefully the fans that are going to go and be there when we're doing what we normally do on the recording. So it's going to be interesting. I'm sure there'll be some great questions and some sort of funny stories on the night. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, if you haven't got your tickets for that, by the way, we have sold out of the online allocation at the moment, but we're hoping there'll be a few more available. So keep your eyes peeled on our social media if you want to come along. It's Sunday, the 24th of September at the Pavilion at FC Hartlepool at Greyfield. So we'll have more on that as the days go by. So keep an eye on social media. Tonight, Scott Flinders, Mickey. What a player he was for Pools. Nobody's played in goal as many times as Scott Flinders did for Hartlepool United, and most of those games were pretty impeccable, weren't they?
Yeah, really good goalkeeper. I was just actually looking at his career before we came on earlier today, and you think like he probably should, for me, probably should have played higher than where he did for a lot of his career. He was brilliant in training, worked really hard in training, technically really good. And I think one of the best keepers that I saw at my time in Hartlepool. I think maybe Dimmy or very similar type of goalkeeper as well, but really nice guy as well. Nice guy off the pitch, very friendly. Always wanted to chat. Loved his training with Walsh. I remember them giggling all the time when they were training. So I didn't realise it was the most games someone had played as a goalkeeper. That's quite a stat, isn't it?
Yeah, he was. He was a long. He had that period where he was injured with his hand. I think he hurt his hand quite badly, but other than that, he was fairly regular for the seasons he was at the ground, and as you say, he's a really nice fella to be at the club. Do you found that as well as being part of the management of the club at the time?
Yeah, he never really caused any issues. I think, as I say, as a coach or on the management staff, if people come in and train really hard, and the majority of games that he played, he was consistently good. Never really made many mistakes. He was always sort of he gave the other players confidence as a goalkeeper. I think that's a massive thing. I think that's where he's very similar to Timmy, that he gave the defenders a lot of confidence because he knew of his ability behind them, and yeah, just a really good professional.
Well, without further ado, welcome to Switcher Play. It's been a while coming. Another one who we've had in the pipeline for a little while now. Scott Flinders, how are you?
Good evening. Yeah, looking forward to tonight and stories that are going to crop up and stuff. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah, you've seen. Obviously, you said you've been, keeping an eye on things, and you like looking down memory lane, and we've got plenty of memories to go over. You had a really good spell at Hartlepool, didn't you?
Loved it. Perfect time for probably my career. Sort of needed to play games, and yeah, what a place. Really, really fond memories of being at Pools and that. Met a lot of friends. Played with a lot of good players as well. So yeah, really, really fond memories.
You're still playing now as well, Scott? Tell us a little bit about how are you getting on
Yeah,
now? Still enjoying it?
Loving it at the minute, to be honest. Different role to what I'm used to. Being a number two. But absolutely love it. Mansfield. It's got a similar sort of feel to Pools, really family, really family feel.
Mm-hmm.
Manager is absolutely manager's probably the favourite I've worked under.
Right.
Absolutely top draw. From the first conversation I had with him, I actually nearly signed with him before, but I'm sure we'll get onto it. But I actually nearly signed for him when he was at Derby, when I was leaving Palace. But the best thing about him, he puts the person before the player.
Right.
Nothing but positive things about him. Honestly, it's
Scotty, I've listened to a lot of podcasts of people who played underneath him, and I don't know whether he'll do it at Mansfield, but he just used to seem to send them away for a week on holiday, and his coaches go with him, but he wouldn't go, and everyone speaks really highly of him on all the podcasts that I listen to.
Honestly, Micky, it's like I said, he puts a person first. Any problems at home, he says let him know 24/7. He's always on the phone. He wants to know if a problem's happened. But just having that personal touch about him, honestly, it's so genuine as well. You know what football's like, both of you. There's a lot of BS in football, and he's certainly not got it. He's got probably traits of his dad as well. But on regards to Mansfield itself, it's the training ground's unbelievable. The fan base is incredible. My dad came to the game at Grimsby. It's the first time he's come to one of the games away from home, and the support is literally, honestly, it's a similar sort of thing to Paul. We always had a really strong backing away from home, and it's similar with Mansfield as well. So we've got the squad we missed out on one goal to get into the playoffs last year, and we had lots of injuries. Saying that, we've got lots of injuries at the minute. We've got 9 at the minute.
Wow.
But yeah, got a really, really experienced squad, and it's a brilliant club. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing at the minute as well. So,
for someone like you said, you're not playing at the minute, and then to speak so highly of the manager, I think that probably is all you need to know about him.
Yeah, and that's everyone. You don't hear. I don't think I've actually heard one guy actually slag him off or a bad word to say about him. It's just got his man management is absolutely incredible. I can't tell you how good it is, because it is an experienced squad, and you know what it's like being around experienced players. If you're not playing, you can not cause carnage, but the ego sets in and stuff like that. So, but he's got that under control, no doubt about it.
Scotty, I'm just saying up on your screen there, have you got a little girl called Betsy?
I have, yeah. Well,
yeah, so I have as well. My little girl's called
Betsy.
Yeah, great name.
Yeah, Betsy. Yeah, she rules the house, mate. Don't worry about
that. Same here.
So, Scott, let's rewind right to the start then, and a couple of questions really. Football, was that your number one aim from being a kid, and how on earth did you end up being a goalkeeper as well?
Yeah, that's the most important one. So when it wanted to be a goalkeeper, was it just
let us get someone was injured and he went in goal, and that's what everyone said.
Outfield, and then to be fair, I think Scotty would have been pretty decent outfield from what I've seen.
That's a no, Micky, no chance. No, at school, no. School, I was bottom set for everything. So my brother literally has took all my brains.
Oh.
Brother literally is the cleverest sod going, mate. It's frightening. Anything he does as well. And he was a good footballer. So basically, older brother, a couple of years older than me, started playing for the local team. I started coming on the odd game, playing outfield for his team. A couple of years later, my dad actually ended up setting up an under-10s team. Mm-hmm. My dad was a local goalie for local teams and stuff like that. You would have thought that he would have played in the Premier League, honestly. unbelievable. That's another story. So yeah, my dad set up an under-10s team, and for my brother's team, I was actually playing as a right back.
Right.
So
Not as easy as it looks, Scotty, I tell you.
So yeah, so I turned to my dad literally as he was setting up his team and said, "Dad, I think I want to be a goalie like you." Yeah, you'll never make it, son. You'll never make it in a million. And he tells his story now. You'll never make it in a million years. So then I played with him for a couple of years. Got scouted whilst playing for the school, whilst playing for the high school, for Barnsley. Signed when I was under 13s, and played all the way through the academy.
Scotty, were you told then? Were you told your age or not? No.
I tell you what, no. I've known my missus since infant school, and we were in the same class all the way through. And looking at all the class pictures, I was always on the bottom row. I was always sort of. To be fair, I look at my lad now, and he's probably similar. Looking at his class, he's 12 now. He's not very big for his age. But then all of a sudden, I probably hit about 15 and literally just grew and grew and grew. Because I think my mum and dad always say Barnsley weren't sure that I was going to be big enough to be a goalie. Basically looked at my granddad and looked at my dad. They're over 6 foot. My brother's 6'3", and probably thought, oh, he's probably going to grow. And once I got to scholarship age, I just literally just kept growing and growing. So yeah, like really, really good memories there at Barnsley. Really good setup, brought up the right way, doing all the jobs. You know, it's like Micky doing all the boots and stuff like that, where kids don't do it anymore. It frustrates me so much now.
I think that's a common theme when you hear ex-professionals talk now, that they wish that part of it was still involved for those younger players, don't you?
Yeah, and also we had great memories of being in the boot room, because we used to go up to so much like stuff in the boot room, and that it was madness. And the thing about it is you knew where you were on the ladder. So regardless of when you used to clean boots, you'd never go into the first team room on your own, because you knew you'd get absolutely hammered. So you go in packs, you go in 3s and 4s, because you knew that if you're good in 3 and 4s, if you're going to get hammered, you're going to get hammered together. So we had big names in there. We had Chris Morgan, Andy Marriott, Steve Haywood, Kevin Betts, like big players. So yeah, it's a really, really good upbringing.
I think when people listen, Scotty, and they might listen to the podcast and they hear some of the stories about YTSs and sort of things that you had to do as a YTS, how tough it was. But what they don't realise is that those are where you build your first friendships in football. Like, I'm still friends with sort of Ben Roberts, Anthony Lee, and all those lads that were in my youth team. We'll always have that bond of you came through together, and it was a proper like brotherhood, wasn't it? You're so close to those people because you spend so much time with them.
It is, and the mad thing about it, Micky, now is I'm part time at Barnsley now, so I'm back there now. It's I'll be going into my second since I went to Mansfield. Sorry, I went back to Barnsley and started coaching there. And there's 2 lads in my youth team that are in the academy working, and I sort of probably lost touch once I probably moved away to Palace, really, and I didn't really stay in touch with them. But now I'm back. It's just like I've never been away.
Yeah,
it's frightening, really. Like I hadn't spoke to some of these lads in 15, 20 years, and then all of a sudden you step back through the door and it's like you'd seen them a couple of days ago. Which is nice.
Who was the manager of Barnsley when you first went there, Scott?
I've had a few, Micky. The manager when I turned scholar was Steve Parkin.
All right, okay.
assistant manager now at Wrexham.
Yeah.
And then we had Good John. No. Then we had Glyn Hodges, caretaker manager. Then we had Good John Thor Dawson, I think he is.
Yeah, I remember him.
Good John was, so going into my second year scholar, we went into administration, and we couldn't bring any more goalies in. So I ended up sitting on the bench for the first 20 games of the season. So which was like, I was nowhere near ready. I can remember a game we played Blackpool at Oatwell on a Tuesday night, and Sasa Ilic, he was the first team goalie.
Yeah.
I can remember him, he got absolutely clattered on a corner, and I'm sat on the bench and I'm thinking, shit, I'm gonna have to come on here. And the manager turned around to me and he was like, Scotty, are you going to run down the line and get warm? And I'm like, I start warming up. So I'm going down the line, and all the lads in my youth team are giving it that one. My heart absolutely fell out. Like I said, I was nowhere near ready for the first team. The gaffer just took a bit of a shine to me and stuff, but like looking back, probably now through the eyes of a coach and a young player, is that must have helped me so much in my early career, being in and around the first team at such a young age. And I think we were doing really well at that stage of the season as well. We were sort of top of the league, and then when we came out of administration and went back with the youth team and started like playing youth team games, because I didn't play many games as a first year scholar.
And your progress obviously at Barnsley was really good, wasn't it? And you earned a move to Crystal Palace. Tell us a little bit about how that came about and how it developed when you got to Selhurst Park.
So I was fortunate and lucky that there was a few injuries above me, and ended up sort of getting my chance at 18. And sort of took it. Played. I think played about 10 games from. It was from February till the end of that season. Ended up getting called up for England for the Toulon tournament, which is a pretty big. I didn't realise, but at the time, which is a pretty big tournament for an under-20. So I ended up going there. And Peter Taylor was the under-21s manager at the time. Took a bit of a shine to me. That was it. So I went back to Barnsley that season, and I didn't play. Nick Colgan actually played that season. That's the season we got promoted. We won Swansea in the playoff final, and then sort of got a call after that season. So that would have been 06. Got a call from Peter Taylor saying, "Are you interested?" I'm like, never. Always lived at home with my mum and dad. And I was moving to London, which was like at 19, 20. It was like, wow, this is. I can remember driving down from a medical, driving through Canary Wharf, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I've never been to London in my life.
I bet you got the same feeling when you went to the marina in Hartlepool.
Oh man, but like going down there. No, I tell this to loads of people. I weren't ready. I'd only played. I think I played 19 League One games, and I was going to. It just got relegated from the Premier League. I was going down there as a number one. I got the number one shirt, the lot.
Really?
Yeah, I was supposed to be.
I was just going to ask you, Scott, you've not taken you down there to sort of playing 2, 3, 4 years time at that age.
I was down there to play. I was replacing Julian Speroni and Gabor Corrali. Gabor Corrali had played over 100 games for his country, and Julian had just been playing in the Premier League.
Is that the one with all the tracky bottoms?
Yeah,
Gabor, yeah. But such nice. Gabor was he was a crazy Hungarian, but one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. Gentle giant. And Julian, I can't. Julian was honestly probably the nicest guy ever in football.
Really?
Yeah, such a nice guy.
Scott, who was your goalkeeping coach when you went down there? Was it Mike?
No, we had a guy called Tony Burns, which Peter Taylor had known before, and he was proper old school, up down. I can remember going to America on pre-season tour, and it was the hardest pre-season ever had. And it was a bit of a rude awakening, really, of like welcome to a big club with big, well, just a massive club, really, wanting to get back to the Premier League. And there was little old me from Barnsley, played a handful of games, and a big expectation because they paid a lot of money for me. So, but now
we often talk about like when people move clubs. Like, did it help you settle in at all, or was it just there's a hotel, get on with it?
No, I wish now I would have got help. When you talk about psychologists and stuff like that, sports psychologists and stuff like that, now that would have helped me so much.
Yeah. It sounds like you were daunted by the move itself and never really sort of felt as if you belonged there.
I always remember meeting Simon Jordan for the first time. He turned up to the training ground the first day. He turned up to the training ground in his red Ferrari, and I can remember shaking his hand and him saying, "Paid a lot of money for you. Make sure you pay me back." And I'm like, "Shit, fucking hell!" Like he has. I'm 19-year-old lad here. And probably just wasn't ready.
I think as well what people don't understand that 19 as a goalkeeper is different from 19 as a number 10 or a right winger. It's young that to take someone to that sort of level and put them straight in. It doesn't happen very often, does it?
No, not really. Not really. Especially with, you look at people like James Trafford now.
Yeah, exactly. That was the example I was going to use.
But who's played a lot of games, whether he played at Accrington or whether he played 2 seasons at Bolton, he's got a lot of games behind his belt. I was going on, I think I'm going on not even 20 games in League One. And it's like, if you haven't got the games to fall back on and the experience to fall back on at that age, it's a hard place. If it doesn't start well, it's a hard place to be, especially as a goalie.
It reminds me, Scotty, there of the story Gary Walsh used to tell about when he was making his debut for Man United. Can you remember when he was displacing Chris Turner, and on the front page of the paper the morning of the game, "Here comes Wonder Boy." Oh. No pressure, Walshy.
Yeah, it's a hard and it's a lonely position at times, and like I said, if you don't hit the ground running, it was hard. It was very hard.
I know we're going to touch on Walshy later on, but my favourite ever story of Walshy, I was on the bench once at West Ham, and he went to kick the ball, missed it, he hit his other foot, then he missed it, and it went in the back of the goal. So he stood in the 18-yard box with his hands in his head. And West Ham had just got a new scoreboard, and on this massive scoreboard there was just a picture of a clown's face. So we were all killing ourselves. As he turned around, obviously cut it anyway. And he actually got them to take it down after that because he said it wasn't fair that if you make a mistake, there's a big clown's head there.
That's terrible.
Wow. Honestly.
You've already sort of alluded to it though, Scott, and I think I remember doing the interview with you when you first signed for Hartlepool, and you said something similar. You know, you'd been around a few places on loan, hadn't you, when you were in your years at Crystal Palace, and you needed somewhere to call home, I suppose.
Yeah, I can remember I was in Vegas at the time, and I can remember getting a text from CT.
Yeah.
Saying, "Would you fancy it?" And I was like, "Yeah, back north, League One." So I said, "Yeah, I fancy." So I can remember coming up, and and he was. I think he was away at the time. I think Russ showed me round. And like I said, I had the gaffer now, Nigel Clough, had actually spoke to me and said, "Listen, we're after a number 2 at Derby. Do you fancy it?" I went, "Well, I'm going to another place as well to have a look round." And I got to that stage where I've been at a big club at Palace, and I've basically been a number 2, and I didn't want to do that again.
Yeah.
I needed to go and play. I needed to go and be a number 1. And sort of went up there, and when I can remember us saying to me, with CT being an ex goalie himself, and I can remember him saying, "Oh, I'm going to bring Gary Walsh in as the goalie coach." I'm like, he'd just been at Wigan. I went, "Gary Walsh, who was at Wigan?" And the old man, you were like, yeah, we're going to bring him in. And that literally, it sold me the club. So I knew that I'd be playing week in, week out, and I got 2 guys they were both goalies and both had an unbelievable career. So I knew I was going to the right place, and hands down, it was the right place.
I think, Scott, again, a lot of people won't know how much a goalkeeper coach can affect the goalkeeper's decision of where to go, or if you work with someone before, you spend so much time with that person, and you do become that close to them that you have to get on well with them and be able to work every single minute of every day together, don't you, and with other goalkeepers.
This is how good Walshy was. Walshy was actually only on a part-time contract, weren't he?
Yeah, he was. And he was driving for miles every day.
But he used to come in full time.
Yeah.
And that just like spoke volumes with regards to the guy. Like literally over and above. And I can remember him once saying to me, he said, "We might not be Premier League." And he said, "I've been at the Premier League and I'll bring everything." And that was like just doing little bits of analysis work, whether it's the penalties. And that, back then, that was non-existent, was it?
He was miles ahead of on the penalty
Massive.
thing. I remember having his little book with all the teams.
The Bible, can you remember it?
The first penalty, the second penalty, the third penalty, where it went. And it's probably part of the course now, Scotty. But back then, it was just, as you said, so ahead of his gear. I remember what you were saying about him going above and beyond. We went to Southampton one day, and we had to sneak him into my room. And he wasn't getting paid to travel overnight. I think he could easily have driven down on the day, but he didn't have a room. He slept on like a sofa bed, and I was like, "Walsh, I'm not having this." Like I said, you play for Man United, and I'm sleeping in a bed on like a sofa bed. I was like, "Come on, let's swap over." He was like, "No, I'm happy here, Mickey." And he got up, and he probably got his fee for doing the match, but it just shows the type of person. And I think he just wanted to be there to help the goalkeepers, didn't he?
100%, absolute spot on. Even now, I want to go into coaching once I finish playing, but that's in like the future. But just looking at him himself and how whether it's the sessions that he put on or everything was geared towards development and making me better, basically, or making the rest of the goalies better. I don't know, I think it was there about 2.5 years, 3 years, was it? I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a guy. And what a person as well, away.
Yes.
And he had it right regards to, he knew when you was overcooked, and sort of sometimes we'd come into Maiden Castle and he'd go, "We're not training today." I'm like, "What? We're not training. If you played Saturday, Tuesday, we're going for a walk. We're going to go into Durham. We're going to have a coffee." And that stuff like that, just knowing how the goalies are, and honestly, looking back now, is definitely. I'll definitely take stuff what he used to do into my coaching.
I remember going to reserve game with him. It was at Billingham Synthonia, and we're looking at a young goalkeeper. I can't even remember what sort of season it would have been. And I was like, "He looks all right, him, Walshy." He's taken a couple of crosses, he's sort of made a couple of saves, and he just shook his head. He went, "Not for us." I went, "What do you mean?" He said, "He's kicking." lets him down. I was like, his kicking's been all right. He went, no, it's where he plants his other foot. He'll let us down at some point, so he's not for us. And that was it. It was like one tiny little detail that he could see that I would never have seen in a million years.
Yeah.
That was going to be this lad's downfall. And it's just the attention to detail he had was magnificent.
I thought whilst I was at Paul's, I was, you know, when you look back, I was so lucky the goalie coaches I had. It was absolutely incredible, and credit to the club. So we had Andy Collett, which his detail was incredible. As a coach, he's definitely up there with one of the best I've had. 100%. Yeah. I think there was a time, and I think it was the time actually we got relegated. I felt that was one of my best seasons I had at Paul's or throughout my career, and that was literally down to him.
You won Player of the Year that year.
That year I felt incredible, and then after that, I had Stephen Pears, which I used to call the teacher because he was brilliant. I was absolutely devastated when he left. Devastated. I can remember when somebody got the bullet. When Coops got the bullet, and I can remember ringing. I heard it on the radio on the way home, and I can remember ringing him straight away, and going, "You're not going." He went, "Yeah, I'm going." He went, "Oh," and I was begging him, "Don't go. Honestly, please stay." And he actually ended up staying for a little bit. I think he stayed for another couple of months, and then he ended up leaving. But so lucky at the people that have coached me at Paul's. Oh my God, it's like.
Do you know what, Scotty? I know all three of them are really quite good friends of mine, and the goalkeeping coach is brilliant. But the thing that overrides it for me, they're all brilliant people, really good people, and they're honest. And I think I've had loads of conversations with Collie about coaching, goalkeeper coaching, and I think he might disagree with what you're saying, and he's got a point of view, but he'll stick with it, and he can give you a reason why he wants to do with that. I used to remember about kicking the ball, like whether to kick it low, whether to kick it high, and we'd disagree about it all the time. Because I was coming from a defender's point of view, I wouldn't. If it's flat, I'll be happy heading it. If it's loopy, I don't want to head it. But we'd disagree about it, but he always had a reason why. And I think for me, that's why him and Walsh is probably the two best goalkeeper coaches I've definitely worked with.
The thing about goalkeeping is now, and it's so specific, and it's a fine detail that makes massive differences. And you see I've worked with goalie coaches. I've seen goalie coaches work now, and it is basically they're just trainers. And I'd like to think once I step onto that side, I'd want to be a coach. I'd want to be a Stephen Pears as a teacher, because it is, like I said, if you get the fine detail into the goalkeeper, you can make massive differences.
Quick story on Pearsy. When I was at Middlesbrough, I got quite friendly with him because through his wife was friendly with my mum. And one day we were training, and I went to score a header, and Pearsy, like you would do, tried his best to save it. About 3 minutes later, I'm lying in the back on a stretcher. My shoulder's over here, I've got a broken nose, and eventually I found out I had a punctured lung.
Oh, wow.
So, but then next day, he was devastated, Pearsy. He come in the hospital, he had all these, like, chocolate bars, this, that, and the other. He'd gone up to see my mum to make sure she was all right, and it sort of brought us even closer together than we were, and I still speak to him now, so just a great guy, and he was a good goalkeeper as well.
Yeah. He let me know a lot of times that he was a good
He must be the only person. I'm sure he left Hartlepool and went to Liverpool.
Yeah.
There can't be many people get like Hartlepool and turn up at Liverpool the next season.
Going back, Scott, to Walsh and his penalty Bible, I have to say that was some of the happiest times. Looking back now, for me, on a morning of a match day or an afternoon when we were away, you know, I was given the task, wasn't I? Find the penalties online, and we some of the footage was terrible, wasn't it? But we got most of them, you know, to show you.
Well, can you remember what we used to do on a match day, a home match day?
Yeah.
Come into your office, didn't we?
Come into my office and we'll look at all the penalties. I mean,
we used to be sat there and That is.
Do you know what, as well, we studied everything, right? And you know, like you talk about fine details there, and there wasn't very often that, you know, it's not very often a goalkeeper saves a penalty, but can you remember the Wimbledon game? And I was commentating on the Wimbledon game, and I was thinking that they got a penalty in the last minute. Can you remember?
Was that home or away?
No, away at Wimbledon. We were winning 1-0 at Wimbledon.
I do, yeah.
And it was the guy who scored. It was the ex-Bournemouth striker.
Yeah, Tubbs.
Tubbs, yeah, Tubbs. And he had 2 different penalties. I remember he either went down the middle, but he's run up varied or something. We spotted a variation. And you had to go early to your right, and you've gone and saved it in the last minute. And I was like, oh, unbelievable.
Yeah.
That must have been the only one you saved, Scotty, was it? Because I can't.
There weren't many, pal. There weren't many. But like I said, that was the days without analysts and stuff like that. Analysts now is literally, you've got so many. Sometimes you've got as many, especially in the top leagues. You've got many more analysts than the actual players.
Yeah, we were like literally searching YouTube for penalties and trying to find clips on someone's, you know, social media or whatever it might be, just to try and get any footage we could of penalties. It was mad.
Yeah.
Brilliant days, though. Brilliant days. So yeah, but as you say, you quickly settled into your life at Hartlepool, didn't you? And your first season couldn't have gone much better. You were outstanding. I think it was the second season where did you get that hand injury? Was that the second year you were there?
Yeah, second. Yeah, would have been the September.
Yeah,
of the second year. It was funny actually because me and Raf actually took. Like I'd done my thumb, he done his finger in the same session.
I remember that.
But can you remember the funny thing about it?
Go on.
Remember we were playing on the Saturday?
Brentford.
We were playing Brentford, and what happened at Brentford at the last game of the season?
Yeah.
I remember, Micky.
You went to extraordinary lengths to make sure you didn't play in that game at Griffin.
I would have been in prison now.
Do you know what? I was going to come to that because it needs investigating fully. Do you know what we're talking about, Mick?
Not a clue.
Oh, Micky, I would have been. Honestly, I would have been in prison.
Intrigued though.
So we went to Brentford on the last day of the season, and it was quite tense, wasn't it, Scotty?
Oh, tense.
It was, you know, the game that we talked about with Gary Little the other week.
With the one where you needed a point.
Yeah, we needed a point. And Scott, I think, ended up in. Well, go on, Scott. I'll let you.
Two. It was two. I think it might have gone into injury time, and 2 lads and 2. I can't. They must have been young. How old do you reckon they were, Simo? About 4. Well, I thought they were about 18, but they were probably about 13, 14. And they'd literally come into my face. I literally gripped them, and I chucked them into the advertising board. But I'd done it twice.
Pick them up, Micky. Pick them up.
The legs were sort of dangling like this.
A piece of rubbish, and just body slammed them into the advertising horns. In fact, I got a message off Swains today to say you've got to ask him what was going through his head.
I was that pumped up that we needed to draw that game.
Have a police escort out the ground.
Oh, I had to get a police escort out the ground. You know, every time I went back there, I got absolutely, no matter what team it was, whether it was Cheltenham or whoever, I always got hammered. So the funny thing was, when I'd done my thumb, is I can remember Buster saying to me, don't you be shitting it because we've got Brentford on Saturday, right? So I'd done my thumb. I can remember going into the physio room. My thumb was literally, I ruptured my thumb, ruptured my ligament in my thumb, and my thumb was literally dangling down. I can remember going into the physio room, Buster going, "Ha yeah, good one." I'm like, no, look at my hand. He was like, "Oh, I thought you were taking the piss." So yeah,
I've just looked at the highlights, but there's nothing on you throwing a
good. Honestly, Micky, I would have been put away. Madness.
It was like there was a sort of silence, wasn't there, after it happened? Because everyone on the ground was like, what's just happened there?
Yeah. It's a bit like the Cantona Kung Fu kick, isn't it? Everyone's seen it, but no one's quite sure like what's happened.
Oh, I'm just glad it didn't happen sort of in today's day. Oh my God, can you imagine that? I would have been top of the hour on Sky Sports News.
Yeah, all over social media and everything like that.
Yeah, social media would have been madness, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But
yeah, so obviously that was all Jake Keane came in. I remember Jake Keane, and obviously did so well, didn't he? And
Jake done brilliant, absolute. And to say that he'd not, I don't think he'd played a league game.
He hadn't, 18-year-old.
I think Jake had just come to basically come as a bit experienced and sit on the bench. It's probably a bit similar to what Freddie Woodman done, like a few years later, but sort of took his chance, and fair play, he absolutely took it and went on to have a brilliant career.
Yeah, so that you missed a portion of that season with that terrible injury, but the following year that would have been 2010-11. Would that have been then? No, did you? Or was it that season you came back in the Bournemouth game? Was at the end of that year? Was it?
Yeah, it was. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I knew we were going to come on to this.
The big one, the one everyone wants to talk about.
Everyone wants to. Everyone, the questions. We'll come to some fans' questions later, but everyone wants to know. I mean, can you remember that clear as day? That Bournemouth goal still?
I can remember the game because I was having an absolute shitter. I can remember. Yeah, I think I'd let a poor goal in. I made a couple of saves in that game, but I can remember letting a poor goal in. And I can remember it going into late on in the game and having a corner and that. And Waddy were the manager, weren't he?
Yeah.
I can remember looking over to the bench and looking over to Mick, and I can remember him just giving me the get up there. Yeah, I can remember who crossed it in.
I can tell you who crossed it in.
Marks?
No.
Sweens?
No. He liked on our Twitter. I noticed he liked the message when we said he was coming on. I'm pretty sure, and I stand to be corrected, that it was Fabian Yantono.
Oh,
Antonio! Wow, that is a blast from the past, isn't it? Jesus. Yeah, all I can remember when it came in is thinking to myself, "Shit, this is coming towards me." And I thought, right, I'm gonna have to head this. And I can remember just sort of closing my eyes, and it literally everyone's facing me now. What a brilliant header! And I just thought, I closed my eyes, and it literally hit me on the top of the head, and it just flew in the corner. That is possibly the best feeling I've ever had in football.
Yeah.
Wow. Better than any save or any sort of
100%.
I can't really tell you, Scott, because I only scored 4, so you're close to.
He's on 3 behind you.
Wow, honestly, what a feeling. And
can I ask you a question, Scotty? Because once I celebrated with the referee when I scored because I was that unsure of what to do. I actually ran up to the referee. Looking back, do you wish you had a better celebration afterwards, or like something? Obviously, like no.
I've got to be honest. That celebration is probably my favourite part of it because it's such like astonishment and bewilderment on your face. You don't know what it's. Literally a picture of a man who doesn't know what to do with his body.
That is basically it, Simo. Yeah. All I can remember is the lads jumping on me.
I remember being on the bench and you sort of turn around and everyone was just like, they just couldn't believe it had happened. Like that it actually the goalkeeper got up and scored.
I know.
Yeah.
It probably put you like 6th or 7th highest goal scorer that season.
I think the strange thing about it, that was the due date of Jake,
right,
as well. Because I think Kate was at home. I think she might have been listening to Sky Sports News and sort of think she nearly bloody had Jake there. But yeah, wow, honestly, Simo, what a feeling that was. Wow. Poor.
I remember even the cameraman like lingered with you a little bit after the because we had actually did we have a camera on the other? It was on the opposite side of the ground from where it usually was, wasn't it? For some reason, it was filming from the executive.
Oh yeah. Thinking about it now, and I've seen it back. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know why it was over there, but then he followed you back to the goal line. I remember you getting back to your goal and you were still like big smile on your face. You just couldn't stop smiling, could you?
Wow.
Fantastic moment, honestly. And a lot of people have actually brought this up. The Yanidi scored again at the start of this.
Tim, I always say it. I could have been the one on Question of Sport.
Yeah. Talk us through that. I actually watched this. I brought this up on YouTube the other day. I don't know if you've seen it recently.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it before. I've never seen it back.
Yeah, it was. Was it Walsall? Walsall, I think it was.
Walsall. Jimmy Walker. Jimmy Walker was in goal.
Yeah. So
he's never seen it. He just knows everything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a long. This one. Can you remember this, Mick?
No. Go on.
So it's a long clearance, isn't it? You've cleared it, and I've looked at it a couple of times this week, and I can't fully I think it probably is going in, but Colin Nish
100% is going in.
The goalie gets his hand to it, Mickey. It bounces
over the keeper, right? Okay.
Bounces over the keeper, and he goes back and gets his hand and claws it a little bit, but it's going back towards the goal still.
All right. Okay.
Colin Nish volleys it in, but I think
he taps it on the bloody line.
What did you say to him after the game?
That's my goal, that. Can you imagine? Hey, that would have been incredible. Question of Sport.
I don't think
in consecutive home games.
You wouldn't have been allowed on here if you're only 2 behind Mickey. Oh, fantastic!
Actually, saying that, Simo, I had one at. It probably weren't going in as much, but I had one at Cheltenham.
Right. Okay.
For a corner against Luton.
Oh yes, I remember. Did you get given it originally, and then it got?
No, I didn't. I don't know, but the lad I used to live with, which is probably one of my best mates now, Will Boyle.
Yeah.
I sort of headed it on to him, and he took the. He scored.
Right, yeah, I remember seeing that goal. Yeah, I remember seeing that goal.
Wrong position, isn't it?
Proper goal threat, Scotty. That's what it is.
Goal scoring right backs, the few and far between. Then obviously, you know, we as you say, we had that season where we were relegated, weren't we? Under, you know, back into League Two, and it must have been, as I say, mixed feelings for you in some regards, because you were outstanding that season, but ultimately it was a bad campaign, really.
Yeah, it was poor. I remember the chairman saying, whatever you do, don't get relegated, and it was disastrous, really disastrous season. On a personal note, because I had a lot to do, I thought I thought I'd done all right. Do you know what I mean? So it was a hard one. It was a hard one going into the next season, actually, because I had a bit of interest as well, and it was like whether I jump ship or whether I stay, and it was a hard summer, really. Whether you have that in your career, don't you? Whether you just had a good season, sort of personally, but I'd like to think I'm a sort of team player, and I wanted to get back promoted and stuff like that. That was a hard time, really. Hard time for the club, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
I know it's a question you always ask me, and we probably should have delved into it a little bit before now, but the characters in that squad, because there were plenty, weren't there? I know when we were talking the other day, it prompted us to think about that, because you mentioned Neil Austin the other day, and what a character he was, but there was plenty in the squad, wasn't there? The likes of him and Monks, of course, but it was quite a boisterous squad at times.
Well, we got the tag of the Yorkshire Mafia, didn't we? It was funny, actually, because after we'd had Jake, I was living in Ingleby for the first couple of years, And then when we had Jay, I moved back here, moved back to Rotherham. So I joined the mafia in the car school, in the famous car school. And it was funny because there was 5 of us in that car school, and 4 of us was over 6'2".
Yeah, I was going to mention this.
So we used to get out, whether it's training or match day, probably more match day, and we literally used to get out. We were like tin sardines. We used to get out, and we were all playing, and we all were like.
Scotty, I might not remember this right, but I'm sure there was some days you pulled up in a Mini or something, a small car. It was tiny, and it was just this like giant after giant. I've just bought a Mini today, and I'm sort of get me, my wife, and my 7-year-old in it. So how the hell you got everyone in that? I'll never know.
Yeah, but such a laugh. We had, honestly, great lad. They all, well, to be honest, they all come to my wedding and stuff, and we had a lot of Monday nights where we'd stay up. Russ would sort us out the Stainie, or we ended up staying a couple of times. We ended up staying in Durham, right in the city centre. But we used to book just one room for the 5 of us. So the room would cost us 25 quid. And
typical Yorkshireman, that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. and we'd always go, right, lads, we're going to do it right. We're going to finish training. We'll do a few weights after, and then we'll get an early night. An early night. Oh my God! Never in a million years did we have an early night. It was honestly, it was such a laugh. It's such good guys and brilliant stories with them 4. All big characters in the dressing room as well. But no egos. Like, that's the biggest thing about changing rooms, and that everybody were on the same page. Yeah, some brilliant dressing rooms in there all the 5-6 years I was there.
I saw a clip on the other day. I think it was on this day, Hartlepool, where they showed a clip from Stevenage away, and it was when the bus broke down, and you're all done. Can you remember?
Aussie for that.
Well, he did. He jumped out, didn't he? But made it look like he fell out.
Oh, man.
That became the whole theme. So on the Football League show that night, it was like Hartlepool, and everything was a pun about us, breaking down or getting out of a taxi or something.
Yeah, I can remember that. I can remember getting on the bus. We're only down the road anyway.
Yeah, mile.
And the bus, and it literally, as we're about to set off, everyone just sort of jerked forward. Oh, yeah, bus is broke.
Incredible, man. Incredible. So yeah, moving forward in your Hartlepool career, it's possibly to another era of your Hartlepool career. I'll jump forward if we can, Scott, the final season, because it was so dramatic, wasn't it? What happened in 2014-15? That what developed into what became known as the Great Escape.
I don't even know where to start. Basically, who started that season? Colin Cooper started the season as manager. Yeah,
so Colin Cooper started the season as manager. Then obviously Paul Murray.
Yeah, well, that was that. Yeah, I was thinking that today. I was thinking, what they're probably going to ask me what's sort of the biggest low, and then without a doubt, the biggest low was that Blythe game. Oh my God, that was.
Yeah, I was, I remember that the feeling of just being associated with that was bad enough. So to be on the pitch and for it to be on the TV and everything.
Yeah, it was like being on TV. Not even, it was whatever on BBC. Like, and Shearer going into their dressing room and stuff like that, and yeah, it was that was a mass. That was probably my biggest pulls low.
Yeah.
100%. That was. I can remember driving away from there thinking, "Wow, we've got some mountain to climb here."
Yeah.
It's tough when you're in a situation like that, though, isn't it? And you've got to keep on going to the next game, going to the next game, going to the next game until something changes, don't you? You've got to, as a player, you've got to just try and put it in the back of your mind and then move forward, which I think the mental side of the game like that is what is hard for some people to get over like quickly and move on. I think it's an area that footballers need to improve on as footballers, but as a sort of culture within football as well. Like, you're so low, but then you're expected to come in 2 days later, train, and maybe play the day after that.
Yeah, the hardest part of it, we just got in a. It's bad to sound, but we got in a routine of losing.
Yeah.
And we were probably beat before we'd even got to the ground, because, like I said, like you just said there, Mickey, the mental side of it, we'd gone. We'd literally gone. Where you could easily get into that run of win, just get into the routine and winning every week. And we just gone the opposite way, where, it was that was a tough time, really tough time.
Yeah, when it came to the turn of the year, I mean, Ronnie Moore had come in as manager then, and at the turn of the year, I think we were 10 points shy of safety, weren't we? And to be that far away and having a new manager come in, I mean, what was the mood like? And can you remember what the mood was like in the dressing room at that time when you're looking at the league table, thinking this is a lost cause?
I can remember thinking to myself, this is we've got to pull something out of the hat here. Definitely. Like I said before, like regards to just we were beat before we got to grounds.
Yeah.
Some weeks.
How long, Scotty, was it? Like, obviously, I wasn't there at the time, and I'm looking on. How long was it before you started thinking, do you know what, we could get out of this? I know it's like you maybe not done it till the last couple of games, but how long was it before that sort of?
We went on a run, didn't we? We went on an unbelievable. I think a run. It were four games or something like that.
Yeah, I think we won 3 or 4 on a bounce, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, and because even like speaking to people now, that was in that sort of era, and then going, you boys were gone. Like, basically, they'd written us off big time. So I think when we started winning, them above us were like thinking, "Oh, are these going to get out of it?" And then slowly but surely, like, confidence started building. And on the flip side of the getting into a routine, we were going into games thinking we've got a right chance here, no matter who we played it as well.
There's a couple of things that strike me about that period of time. One was that Ronnie, and I don't know how much of an impact this had in the dressing room, but Ronnie sort of was quite scathing in a lot of the stuff he said, out to the press on a weekly basis. There was the famous line about these lads will be working at Asda and all of that stuff. And I felt like he was saying that for a purpose, because he wanted to try and rile you, to try and get a reaction. Was that how you saw it as well? Was there any of
massive,
that?
Timo. Massive reality check.
Yeah.
We could all been working in Asda across from the ground.
Yeah.
A couple of months later, if we didn't pull his finger out. So massive reality check. But you know what? I think what the biggest thing was in that time, the loans that we got in.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Got unbelievable loans at right times. Like, literally lifted the group massively. If they didn't come in at that time, we would have been gone. 100%.
Yeah, we did. We had obviously Jordan Hugel, who came in, Aaron Tishbor in the middle as well. Which were key players for us, weren't they?
I think sometimes you just need that.
Remember,
you need that injection of sort of new people who haven't got that sort of losing mentality behind them, or you know what I mean, or just sometimes you just need someone just for fresh impetus, and I think that's probably what them signings brought at that time, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, they were massive. They were massive. Big goals at big times.
Yeah.
Which ultimately sort of saved us, and it's a mad feeling, isn't it? It's like that Exeter game is probably one of the best feelings I've ever had in football. But that's in a relegation scrap. That's not in a promotion. Like, like listen to Lids and stuff regards to the promotions that they had with Pools and that, but yeah, we were really lucky in that respect that we hit form at the right time.
I think there was the feature of it was, I think we riled other clubs a little bit because the bench did it and the players were doing it. We were celebrating every goal as if we'd won the World Cup. That's how I remember it at the time. And other benches were like, wow, they're a bit over the top, aren't they? But we celebrated but it was like that. Even for the people who weren't playing, Scott, like the likes of me and Becky and Sarah and Natalie, everyone behind the scenes, it was like, you lads were playing for our jobs effectively, we thought.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was thinking. You go back right to the start of that family feel, and we knew people's jobs, but fans coming through the turnstiles, like they didn't want us playing in the conference.
Yeah,
I know you've got to look at it. I'm going to myself, like by myself here, like. Yeah, I don't want to be playing in the conference, but I was thinking the fans behind me thinking, I want to do it for these guys as well. Like, they don't want to be watching conference football. We're watching league. We're watching Southampton and Sheff Wednesday and a few years ago. Yeah. They don't want to be going down to Dover and places like that. So, yeah, we had a bit of a reality check regards to that as well. Not only sort of personal, but for the town basically as well.
Yeah, and that Exeter game, I mean, I still sometimes listen to the last few minutes of my commentary because it still gets me hairs on the back of the neck and brings a tear because it's like so incredible, that moment where.
Timo, are you bigging yourself up here?
No, sorry, no, I don't mean like as in my commentary. Right. I mean just that moment where, because if it was, as Becky screams in the background of my commentary, actually she goes, "It's over," and I'm like, "Oh God." And that's the best bit of it. The feeling there is just incredible. Like, and that moment when everyone was just together at the Vic. And I remember coming on the pitch and you giving us a big hug, Scotty. Do you know what I mean? It was just an outpouring of emotion, wasn't it? And relief.
I've got the picture somewhere. I've got the picture of me and Jake on the pit on the wall. It must not be in here. It's somewhere in the house.
Yeah.
Of him being on the pitch after the game. What I feel from where we come from a few months before, where we were gone to being safe and that. What unbelievable feeling. All I can remember is waking up that morning and the weather was absolutely shocking, wasn't it? I'm thinking, oh my God, why? Like towards the end of the season, and it's absolutely pissing it down. But yeah, wow, what a feeling! Absolutely. After the game, I can remember I was really emotional after the game. All I can remember is Jordan Richards. He was absolutely in floods of tears. I didn't even think Geordie were on the bench. They were just seeing like pure emotion from all the lads, whether playing on the bench, not in the squad. Yeah, some job to get out of the mess that we got ourselves into, basically.
Yeah, amazing times. And that obviously proved to be your last season at the club, and you moved on from there. Was that a mutual thing? I can't remember at the time whether there was an opportunity for you to
I would have stayed. I would have stayed 100%.
Okay.
I know things were changing behind the scenes. IOR were leaving, and whoever were taking over, I can't remember. I can remember actually being in the kitchen, and Ronnie ringing me saying, "Listen, I think it's probably best you left." And I was like, "What?" And I was captain at the time as well, and I'm like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah," I said, I've got an offer here for you, but you won't want it. I went, "Well, tell me what it is. So I'm willing to listen." And when he said the offer, I laughed and went, "Are you being serious?" He said, "Oh no, that's take it or leave it." And I said, "Oh, I think we better part ways then." but I would 100% stayed. I sort of love my time up there. And then I got a couple of offers, and it was towards the end of the off season. I got a call from Russ Wilcox and said, "Do you fancy it? We're going to give it a go again." I think not the season before, a couple of seasons when they got to the playoffs. They were going to give it another go again. So he said, "We're going to throw a little bit more money at it and try and get promoted." And we ended up getting relegated.
Yeah. At the start of that season, I think one of the early games, if not, was the Billy Painter goal, wasn't it? He curled.
Yeah, Jesus Christ! I think I was waving at someone in the crowd because I got nowhere near his strike.
Yeah, I think one of the fans' questions about that goal, Mark, isn't it?
It was, yeah. Someone did bring that up, that was the first. I mean, he hit it so well. Billy started that season like a house on fire, like, because he'd signed. You didn't play with him. He signed that summer, didn't he? Yeah. Yeah, I played
with Billy in a couple of England squads as well, but so I know him from there. As soon as he struck it, I'm like, wow, against your old club as well. I'm like,
yeah. What was that? Because there was a pretty full away end that time, wasn't there? Were they all right with you? Did he get a bit of tea?
Yeah, well, just the normal, give him a bit of stick and that. I can remember coming back. I can remember coming back to the Vic and getting a bit of stick. I think we ended up getting beat, but I played quite well that game, so I'm quite happy. But yeah, we didn't fit. There was a lot of things that went on that people sort of don't know about, which probably don't really want to get into, but literally got thrown under the bus. So I ended up staying there for about 18 months in the end. I just needed to get out, and ended up going to Mansfield, which ironically we ended up playing York in the trophy final, ended up getting beat by I think 3-2. So yeah, it was a bad sort of couple of seasons, really bad. And I actually contemplated whether to jack it in as well after that season, after the Wembley season. I didn't going into the off season. I had no sniffs whatsoever, and to be honest, I didn't even really chase anything. So yeah, literally just fell out of love. Probably just fell out of love with it all, really.
Obviously, you went on, reinvented yourself a little bit. You had quite a lengthy spell at Cheltenham, didn't you? After that.
Oh, I can remember it was bank holiday. It was probably about this time, whatever it was, 6 years ago. And I can remember the bedroom getting lit up by my phone, and it was my agent saying, I think it was about 11:30 at night, saying, "Sound lively, there's a manager ringing you. He wants you to go down and have a trial." I'm like, "What? It's 11:30 at night?" And it was Gary Johnson. So I spoke to him that night. I said, "Oh, listen, want you to come down, have a bit of a trial." Well, yes, well, it's a bit far. Yeah, I'll come down for a couple of days. Went down there. Train, like literally brilliant. Train really well. Turned to him the next day and said, "Right, want to sign you till January, short term." So I literally had not been with a club, not in a pre-season, and I was playing a league game against Stevenage, I think I did. And then went on from there. I had 5 unbelievable seasons there. What a place! What a club! Yeah. Fantastic few years there. Unbelievable.
And now I think you got what, 600 or more games under your belt, and you've already talked about it. But the next stage of your progression now, it's going to be toward. You want to be a goalkeeper coach? Do you want to be a manager? Is it goalkeeper coach?
No, I don't want to stay away from being a manager. No, So I'd done all the outfield badges, done the B and that, whilst sort of I think we were finishing off my B when I was at Hartlepool, with Ozzy and Monks, it might have been as well. And then when I broke my leg in 2020, January 2020, and thought, right, well, I'm going to be out for a year here, really crack on and finish off doing the goalkeeping badges. So I've done the A and B goalkeeping. And yeah, I want to get into it. I've had some unbelievable goalkeeping coaches, whether it's down to John Lukic, Walshy, Holly, Persic, and the amount of knowledge and guidance that they gave me through my career, I'd be stupid not to go into it. Something I enjoy now, whether it's at Mansfield, whether it's Christy Pym, sort of he's the number one at Mansfield now, or whether it's any of the young pros or young scholars. And then working at Barnsley, back to where it all started. I've got a really good balance at the minute. It's a couple of years ago, I would have probably been knocking on the manager's door going, just play me. But I've got a good balance of being with the lads and being a player day to day, but also having the couple of nights a week doing the coaching as well. So I still feel fit enough, touch wood, to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think it's a position, Scott, that lends itself to doing that, doesn't it? That sort of transition where if you are a number two, well, then you can do a little bit of coaching or work alongside each other. It probably goes hand in hand at your age and at your time in the career.
Yeah, and it's still I've still got aspirations. Like I played, I can't remember the league games I played last season, but it's literally lads are going, how do you play? You're going on experience. I don't know how many games I play, a few hundred games I play, and as soon as you're out there, it just feels like you've been playing week in, week out again.
Yeah,
it was so weird last season, but then you get back into the groove because with Christy, had a couple of injuries, and I got back into the groove of playing week in, week out, and I'm like, I really enjoy this. And then when he put Christy back in, I'm like, oh, cool, quite miss it. So yeah, I've got a good blend. Like it was Cheltenham a couple of years ago during the summer. I had the chance to go, well, to a Premier League team, which is now doing the first team, and I went down and actually sort of, well, it was a very informal interview. They basically gave me the job of doing the goalies, sort of taking over the first team goalies. And I thought, right, yeah, I'm going to do it. I was 35 at the time, and I thought, yeah, it's probably the right time. And I can remember driving back up the M1 and speaking to Kate, and she was like, are you sure you want to finish playing? I'm like, and everyone always said to me, play as long as you can, because once you're done, you're done. And it were her basically saying, I don't think you're ready to finish. And I thank God she said that to me, because I've 100% made the right choice. Carry on playing.
I think, Scotty, from my experience coaching, you need to get those hours under your belt, you know what I mean? Whether it's like with the young goalkeepers, whether it's an academy, whatever, it's learning how you want to coach, what you're good at coaching, what you need to improve. And you only learn that out by doing it. And I think I took over the youth team thinking, oh, I knew everything about it. And I knew nothing. Looking back now, I knew absolutely nothing about coaching. And you were doing it off like cuff, doing this, that, and the other without really having a plan. And I think it's like what you're doing now is doing a couple of nights here, and you'll find out how you want to do it. And I think that's exactly the right way to do it, mate. I really do.
Yeah, I know. I've got the knowledge, but like you said, Mickey, you've got to be on the grass, haven't you? You're basically
100%.
You're starting at the bottom of the ladder again, like you was as a player. And like I said, it's speaking to a friend of mine who works at first team level as well. He was like, get in the academy and iron out all your mistakes, because at the end of the day, they don't really know. As soon as you get to first team level and you start putting on a session or you'll soon get found out. So yeah, I think 100% that's the best bit of information I've sort of been given on the coaching side of it as well.
I think, sorry, Mark, I think one question I was going to ask before I never asked. When you were growing up, who was your hero, your goalkeeper that you wanted to be, and who's your favourite goalkeeper now? Who would you watch every week if you could?
Growing up, I was a Chef Wednesday fan. I actually, and he knows this as well, I actually had humps on my bedroom wall. Can you believe it?
Wow.
I know.
Yeah,
I can't believe I had humps on my bedroom wall. What am I thinking? Seriously.
Well, you're in good company because the drummer out the Arctic Monkeys had him as well. So he tells me that all the time.
All right. Yeah. So humps are up there, but I was a Wednesday fan. Kevin Pressman was I used to watch there. I used to watch Wednesday as a kid. And David Seaman, being from Rotherham as well, and being like that era when I was growing up, being the England goalie
he was class.
I still say it now. It's the save against United at Old Trafford is probably the best. Yeah, the best save I've ever seen.
What about now, Scotty?
Now.
Who would you sort of say to young goalkeepers? This is who you need to watch now.
Alisson, I think. Alisson now. He's the best in the world for me. Courtois was sort of running close to him before he got his injury, but Alisson's, he's model.
His save at the weekend was incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Every top team needed top goalie, and he's probably at the top of the tree for me, definitely.
Well, we've also got, Scotty, some fans' questions. If you wouldn't mind addressing these for us as well,
that's fine, mate. It gets me out putting the kids to bed. So,
well, that's more than merry than that. So the first one is a strange one. It's coming from a lad called Danny Stevens, and he says, "Do you remember the dizzy penalty that I took at Huddersfield, and you came over and hugged me? I was a Pools fan on the pitch, and I took a dizzy." I presume he means where you spin round the thing and then take a penalty, and he must have scored, and you ran over and hugged him, apparently.
Is that right? Oh, I can't remember that. I can't remember that one. No.
Sorry, Danny.
It's a random thing to make up if it's not true.
He's telling all his mates now. Did you hear what they said on Switch Your Play?
Scotty, just record that again and just say, "Oh yeah, I remember."
Yeah, of course, well, yeah.
Yeah, cheers, Danny.
Well done, Danny. There was quite a lot of people asked about your potential second goal. Are you still bitter about that? Would you, if you bumped into Colin Nish?
Oh, I might. Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I would have been unquestioned as sport. I want to be famous for summer.
To be fair, Nishi needed a goal or two, though, didn't he?
Oh, did he? Oh, yeah.
He didn't really look like he enjoyed football, Colin.
No, he didn't, did he? Is he actually a manager now? Have I?
No,
he was.
He was.
Yeah, he was for a little bit. Yeah, because I was as surprised as anyone when I saw that.
Yeah.
He didn't look like he really enjoyed much. He used to just like flop around. He was a nice enough lad, but I remember he used to walk on his tiptoes a little bit, but just like have no real purpose.
Yeah, I can remember the summer. I can remember the summer he came in because it was the same summer as Nobby came, and it was like, God, how can you get like two different? Oh wow, that's another one. Nobby Solano. I remember being in Holland. I remember being in Holland.
Those free kicks.
I can remember the free kick, but I can remember walking down the corridor in the hotel and the trumpet going off. Oh, what a guy! But honestly, what a guy he was. Unbelievable.
I remember that. Can you remember that when we went to Holland and he was taking free kicks and he was just put them all in the top corner, wasn't he?
I can remember. Yeah, I can remember. He went, Scotty, do you mind doing the free kicks? And we settled the wall. I think I had like 4 in the wall. And I would try my balls off, and he was literally just whipping them around, sticking them in the top corner. I can remember Waddy once saying to one of the young lads. I think one of the young lads had come over from the youth team.
Yeah, I remember this.
And said he'd gone. What's your name, son? Oh, I can't remember. Joe Bloggs. What's his name, son? Oh, it's Nobby Solana. Well, get in the fucking ball then. I'll always remember that. I can't remember who the kid was, but oh my!
I remember because we were doing them little five-a-side things across the pitch, and he kept giving the ball away, trying to do it. And I remember Mick saying that to him.
Mick was funny, wasn't he?
Oh, I can remember him saying Nobby always. He made a position for Nobby. It was called the restart position. So it was basically he didn't have to track back. He just stood on the wing. We just had to find him. Sorry, I've gone off on a one on there.
No, that's fine. That's what these questions are for. I'm pretty sure.
Definitely.
What was your best game for Pools, and why was it Tranmere away in 2013?
Was that the penalty save, Tranmere away?
Yeah, I think you saved a penalty that day.
Oh, to be honest, I'm not. That's just sort of sprung up something there. And I'm not usually a massive one for what's your best save and but that was probably up there. Yeah. Oh yeah, I can remember that because I'd actually dove to my right and gone with my top hand. I think.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Probably because of the notes you took before the game, me and Walsh.
Yeah, probably. Well played, Timo. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of the game, then, do you have another game that stands out? Is there any game that you think straight away, "Oh, what a night that was"? Or
you have to remind me. So, like then, that just sprung
right,
up.
okay.
Remember? Yeah. No.
Scott, when you've played as many games as you have, it's hard to remember. So unless someone says something to you, remember that happened or that.
It's funny, isn't it?
I can't even remember which season goes from season to mine, which game.
Yeah, someone has to remind me. Like I'll always remember my debut for Pools. We played MK. I think it was 0-0, and it was red hot. And I always remember because I wore this. I don't even know why I was wearing it. It must have been 30 degrees. You know what it's like at MK Stadium. I can remember wearing a thermal top underneath my shirt. I'm like, what are you doing? Seriously. But yeah, I remember like stupid games. But if you said to me about a game and something like that, it probably come up like that, the Tranmere one.
Scotty, I was going to ask, sort of with coaching and stuff now, what if you were a young goalkeeper? What's the main things, the attributes that you need now coming through if you're going to be a top flight goalkeeper? What would I need to work? Not me personally. I mean, I've got good hands. I've got good hands.
Yeah, well, that's basically that's what I look for now. Is especially through the age of the academy, if their fundamentals, just basic goal handling and stuff like that, if that's not right at such a young age, then you're always playing catch up. Like my beliefs and philosophy for a goal at a young age. I know people now. Whenever I speak to outfield coaches now in the academy, the first thing they say, I said, "Oh, how's he doing at the weekend?" "Oh, well, his distribution," and that's the first thing they say now because goalies they do have to be good with their feet and they have to have 2 good feet to play with now. But if their all-round fundamental basics aren't right as a young age, then for me, we're not going to get to the level that we need
to. Someone made an allegation against you on our Twitter account as well, Scott, that they saw you during a game at Stevenage. One of the mascots were given a free Easter egg each, and you pinched one.
Yeah, possibly. That rings a bell, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, and we thought you were a nice guy.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I can.
Did you eat it as well, or was it?
I think I did as well. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh, this is brilliant. I love all this.
There's another one just come in similar. I don't know if you've seen it. it just come into the switch of play saying he was a 14-year-old lad at Brentford and got thrown into a hoarding. He's never been the same since.
The Met Police, actually, the Met Police are just ringing me now. Can you come in for questioning, sir?
The scary thing is, he'll be like a fully grown. Mike could be massive now, Scott.
I know.
Brilliant.
Someone asked, I don't know if this would ever have been on the radar or whether there would have been, but someone said if there was a chance after you'd left to then go back, would you have taken the opportunity? Would you have ever gone back to pools?
I actually spoke to Spike when he was still in a job before. So what would that be? 18 months ago. Yeah. Of coming back as a player coach.
Right.
To be fair, he just came up there. The funny thing about it, I spoke to him the night before he got the sack.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I had a really good conversation with him.
So you were up for it, were you? Was it gonna be?
Yeah, we were going to do it the following season. It would have been last season. Yeah, it would have been last season. And I wanted. Well, it would have got me started me on the coaching side of it as well. And it was funny. I can't remember who it was. I think seeing it when it were the afternoon, seeing that coming along that he'd been sacked, it was like, oh well, that's not going to work out then, is it?
Because they went down that route, didn't they? They brought a goalkeeper. Was he a Scottish lad? It was like number 2.
Yeah, I know Kyle. Kyle ended up getting it. Yeah. So yeah, I think it was going down the route of player coach, but I think for me it would have been perfect. I knew I was leaving Cheltenham that year as well. I wanted to be closer to home. So like I said, speaking to him, it worked perfectly what I wanted to sort of do, and just unlucky for him really, he sort of lost his job, and seeing the Scottish guy get it and just get worse and worse. Like I said, it's one of the first results I look out for, pools and that. And the start of last season was absolutely disastrous.
Yeah.
So the Hartlepool Supporters Trust have sent a question in. Best goal you've ever scored?
Best goal? Well, I'd say the Colin Nish goal.
Yeah. The new technology might have shown that was already over the line. You never know.
Exactly.
We asked Nishi and he said that was his best goal as well.
I went off his goal bonus as well.
We'll
have to get Nishi on.
Wow.
We'll not get Scott on that night either because he'll tease that. Well, Scott, thanks very much indeed for joining us, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure to take a trip down memory lane with you. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have, mate.
Mark, and sorry, Scotty, I just want to say it. And there's not a lot of people to go up against, but I think Scotty's been our best looking guest so far as well.
What, even Lids? I heard the bit on Lids whilst I was watching Betsy's diving, saying was there a question on his skincare or something like that?
Yeah, about his hair and his face. Benjamin.
Oh, yeah, his hair would never move. His hair would never move in a million years.
That's what people were saying. What does he wear? What does he put on his hair? What does he put on his skin? Because he look exactly the same. Well, that might be a fair shout, Mickey. I think that's fair. Richard Barker, perhaps.
Who?
Barks.
Barks? Nah.
No?
Nah. Darryl?
No, but absolutely brilliant, Scott. Been a pleasure to get you on finally, and as I say, I hope you've enjoyed it too, mate.
I have. Good to see you two guys as well.
Yeah, and you, Scotty. Really nice to see you.
No, it's been brilliant. I love all this going down memory lane and that. that bit now for the rest of the night. I'll be thinking about all the stories and that I didn't say. It's mad.
Well, you can have a part 2, you know. We can get you back on.
Oh,
They'll get you and the Mafia in that mini, and they'll get you all.
oh wow, yeah. Well, actually, Sam was working at Mansfield last year. Sam Collins. So with and then you get umps coming in doing his PFA duties. So to be fair, the Mansfield lads would be like, "Give it a rest, lads. You left years ago."
Well, if we do a part 2, Scott, we'll have to. I'll let you tell the story about when you stopped me getting me head beaten in by Marlon Harewood.
Oh yeah. Oh. Well.
I don't know that story either.
Yeah. He was an angry man that day.
Yeah. I look back with a bit of regret on that. But anyway.
You can tell us after, more.
I'll tell you. I remember we'll tell it at the live show. We'll tell that story at the live show.
Perfect. Yeah, good idea.
Mick, another fabulous guest to have on. You can see, just similarly to Flash, he's got great memories and emotion when talking about his time with Hartlepool, hasn't he?
Yeah, he definitely has, and I think sort of a lot of our guests have that, don't they? They spend time in Hartlepool at the club, and they have that sort of affection for the area and the town and the team that they play for. Scotty speaks really well, I think sort of the way he spoke there, you can imagine him coaching like that and going on to have a real good coaching career as well. But just a generally nice guy, big, strong goalkeeper, good technically, who had a career where he played and still is playing a lot of games.